6 months after the battle that changed the galaxy, Admiral Kethvar stood before the Zephyrian High Council and delivered the news that would reshape their entire civilization. The Great Chamber was filled with the Empire's most powerful leaders, their purple skin pale with shock as they listened to his report. The human fleet numbered over 3,000 ships, Kethvar said quietly. Each vessel was technologically superior to our best warships. They destroyed 637 of our ships, while suffering no losses of their own. The conquest fleet of the Zephyrian Empire has been eliminated. The silence that followed was deafening. For 200 years, the Zephyrian Empire had been the dominant force in their region of space. They had conquered dozens of worlds and faced no serious opposition. The idea that a single species could destroy their most powerful fleet was almost incomprehensible. High Counselor Zethmar, the eldest member of the council, spoke first. "You are telling us that this human species has technology centuries ahead of our own?" "Yes, High Counselor. But more than that, they have been studying us for decades. They knew our weapons, our tactics, our ship designs. They were specifically prepared to counter everything we could bring against them." "How is that possible? We have never encountered this species before." Kethvar hesitated before delivering the most frightening revelation of all. "High Counselor, I believe we have encountered them many times. I believe they have been infiltrating our space, our communications, our supply lines for 50 years or more. We just never knew they were there." On Earth, Admiral Helen Brooks walked through the captured alien technology warehouse that now sprawled across several city blocks. The facility contained the largest collection of alien technology ever assembled, from complete starships down to individual components. Teams of scientists worked around the clock to catalog and analyze everything humanity had captured. Dr. Ashley Turner approached with her latest report. "Admiral, we've finished analyzing the Zephyrian quantum communication system. The good news is that we can now intercept and decode all their messages in real time. The bad news is that 3 more alien empires are planning to test our defenses." "3 more? Which ones?" "The Cathalonian Star Kingdom, the Vextai Republic, and something called the Hegemony of Worlds. All of them have heard about what happened to the Zephyrians. 2 of them think it was a fluke. The 3rd wants to form an alliance with us." Helen nodded. They had expected this. News of humanity's victory had spread throughout the galaxy faster than they had anticipated. Some species were terrified. Others were curious. A few were stupid enough to want revenge for their fallen allies. "What's our fleet status?" "All home defense forces are at full readiness. The Mars shipyards have completed another 500 vessels. Jupiter Station reports that the new Dreadnought-class ships will be ready for trials next month. And our exploration fleets? Captain Ellen Price is leading the first deep space mission in 2 weeks. 12 ships heading toward the galactic core to make contact with neutral species. We want to establish diplomatic relations before someone else tells them we're monsters." Captain Ellen Price stood on the bridge of the UES Enterprise of Earth, humanity's first purpose-built exploration vessel. Unlike the warships that had destroyed the Zephyrian fleet, the Enterprise was designed for peaceful contact with alien civilizations. She carried scientists, diplomats, and cultural specialists instead of additional weapons. "All systems ready for departure, Captain," reported her first officer, Commander Bill Cooper. "Crew of 400, supplies for 2 years and enough. Firepower to defend ourselves if necessary." "Let's hope it won't be necessary," Ellen replied. "Our mission is to make friends, not enemies." The Enterprise was a marvel of human engineering that incorporated the best features of captured alien technology while maintaining a distinctly human design philosophy. She was fast, well-armed, and equipped with sensors that could detect alien ships from light years away. Most importantly, she carried the message that humanity was ready to take its place in galactic civilization. On the Zephyrian homeworld, the debate over how to respond to the human threat had been raging for months. Some council members wanted to attempt another attack using their remaining fleets. Others argued for immediate surrender and submission to human authority. A growing faction believed that cooperation was the only path to survival. "We cannot simply accept defeat," argued war leader Vorthka. "The Zephyrian Empire has never bowed to any enemy. We should gather our remaining fleets and allies and strike back." High Counselor Zethmar looked at the younger Zephyrian with pity. "War leader, we have seen the human capabilities. They could destroy our homeworld with a single ship. Resistance is not courage, it is suicide." "Then what do you propose?" "We follow the human example. We learn from them. We adapt to this new galaxy where they are the dominant power." Representative Alex Stone stood before the newly formed Galactic Council in a space station that humanity had built specifically for diplomatic purposes. The station was neutral territory where any species could come to negotiate without fear of attack. Alex was 45 years old, with gray hair and intelligent eyes that had seen humanity's rise from a single world to galactic power. The United Earth government proposes the following principles for galactic civilization, Alex announced to the assembled delegates from 37 different species. First, no species has the right to conquer or enslave another. Second, all worlds have the right to self-determination. Third, trade and cultural exchange should be encouraged between all peaceful civilizations. The response was immediate and mixed. Some species, particularly those that had been conquered by empires like the Zephyrians, supported the human proposals enthusiastically. Others, especially the remaining imperial powers, objected strongly to restrictions on their expansion. Ambassador Kelly Tarr of the Vextai Republic stood to respond. "And if a species refuses to accept these principles, what then?" Alex's smile was polite but cold. "Then they will face the consequences of their choice. Humanity has proven that we can defend ourselves and our allies. We prefer cooperation, but we are fully prepared for conflict. The threat was clear without being explicitly stated. Any species that chose aggression over cooperation would face the same fate as the Zephyrian conquest fleet." The galaxy's balance of power had shifted permanently, and everyone in the chamber understood the new reality. Dr. Claire Johnson worked in her new laboratory on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Her facility was dedicated to peaceful applications of alien technology, focusing on medical advances and environmental restoration rather than weapons development. The irony wasn't lost on her that studying how to destroy alien technology had led to breakthroughs in saving lives. "Dr. Johnson, we've made a breakthrough with Zephyrian medical scanners," reported her assistant, Dr. Kevin Walsh. "By combining their cellular analysis systems with our quantum processors, we can detect and treat diseases at the genetic level." Outstanding. "What about the Cathlonian agricultural techniques?" "Even better. We can increase crop yields by 40% while reducing water usage by half. Hunger could become a thing of the past on human worlds." Claire smiled. This was what she had hoped for when the fighting ended. Humanity's military victory had opened doors to scientific and cultural exchange that would benefit everyone. The galaxy was becoming a better place because humans had been strong enough to demand peace. Captain Nathan Riley commanded the Jupiter Defense Wing from his flagship, the UES Guardian of Sol. His fleet had grown from 2,000 ships to over 5,000 as humanity continued its rapid military expansion. But unlike the conquest fleets of other species, the human fleet was designed for defense and peacekeeping rather than territorial expansion. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call from the Altarian system," reported his communications officer. "The hegemony of worlds is attacking civilian transports. The Altarians are requesting assistance under the Galactic Protection Treaty." Nathan checked his orders. The treaty was humanity's first major diplomatic success, establishing Earth as the protector of smaller civilizations that couldn't defend themselves. 17 species had signed the agreement, knowing that human protection meant safety from imperial aggression. Set course for the Altarian system, maximum speed. Signal the hegemony fleet that they have 10 minutes to withdraw or face the consequences. The Guardian of Sol and her escort fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, racing to defend an alien world they had never seen before. It was a perfect example of how humanity's role in the galaxy had changed. They were no longer hiding on a single world, hoping to avoid notice. They were the guardians of galactic peace. The hegemony fleet commander received the human warning with disbelief. The hegemony controlled over 100 worlds and fielded thousands of warships. They had never been challenged by any single species, and they weren't about to be intimidated by humans who had only recently revealed themselves. That confidence lasted exactly 47 minutes. When Captain Riley's fleet arrived in the Altarian system, they found 23 hegemony warships attacking civilian evacuation. What followed was not a battle between equals. It was a systematic demonstration of human superiority that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for generations. The Zephyrian fleet, which had conquered 17 star systems, was being taken, apart piece by an enemy they had completely underestimated. Captain Tony Martinez led the Sol Defense Squadron in a devastating attack that showcased everything humanity had learned about warfare. His ships moved through space like dancers, each vessel perfectly coordinated with the others. The human fleet didn't just fight, it performed, turning destruction into an art form. "Target their command ships first," Tony ordered his captains. "We want their leaders to see what's happening before they die." The Sol Defense Squadron's weapons were unlike anything the Zephyrians had encountered. Instead of simple energy beams or plasma bolts, human ships fired concentrated streams of exotic matter that could phase through alien shields and tear apart hull material at the atomic level. Each shot was perfectly aimed by artificial intelligence, systems that could predict enemy movements before the aliens made them. Admiral Kethvar watched helplessly as his command cruisers exploded one after another. The ships that contained his most experienced officers and his best tactical equipment were being specifically targeted by humans who seemed to know exactly which vessels mattered most. "How do they know which ships to hit?" he asked Sub-Commander Vextal. "They've been studying us, Admiral. For how long, I don't know, but they know everything about our fleet composition, our tactics, even our standard operating procedures. That's impossible. We've never encountered this species before." "Maybe we have, sir. Maybe we just didn't know it." On Titan, Dr. Rebecca Thompson watched the battle through the most advanced sensor array ever built. Her research station had been monitoring alien communications and ship movements for over 50 years. Every piece of data collected during that time was now being used to destroy the Zephyrian fleet with surgical precision. "Admiral Brooks, this is Dr. Thompson on Titan," she reported. "Our predictive algorithms are working perfectly. enemy ship. Movements are following projected patterns exactly. We know where they're going to be before they do. Outstanding work, Doctor. How long have we been preparing for this specific scenario? 53 years, Admiral. Ever since the first alien probe entered our system in 1972. We've been watching, learning, and preparing for exactly this moment. The truth that Admiral Kethvar was beginning to understand was terrifying in its implications. Humanity hadn't just defended against the Zephyrian invasion. They had been preparing to obliterate it for over half a century. The primitive human species had been infiltrating alien supply lines, intercepting communications, and studying captured technology for decades. General Sam Parker coordinated the boarding actions that would become legendary throughout human space. As alien ships were disabled by precision weapons, human assault teams moved in to capture them intact. The aliens expected brutal soldiers in crude armor. Instead, they faced humans in power suits that made them nearly invincible. "Remember, we want prisoners," Sam told his boarding teams. "These aliens are going to tell us everything they know about their empire, their technology, and their other enemies." The human boarding suits were masterpieces of engineering that incorporated the best features of alien technology while adding improvements the aliens had never thought of. Each suit enhanced human strength by a factor of 10, provided complete life support, and carried weapons that could punch through alien armor like tissue paper. Lieutenant Brad Coleman led the first boarding party onto a disabled Zephyrian cruiser. His team of 12 Marines moved through the alien ship like an unstoppable force. The Zephyrians, who prided themselves on being fierce warriors, surrendered immediately when they saw what human soldiers looked like in combat armor. "Secure the bridge and engineering," Brad ordered. "Take all officers alive. We need to interrogate them." The alien crew offered no resistance. They had seen their supposedly invincible fleet destroyed in hours by an enemy that appeared to know everything about Zephyrian weaknesses while revealing nothing about human capabilities. Back in space, the destruction continued with methodical efficiency. Captain Ellen Price commanded a squadron of ships designed specifically for psychological warfare. Her vessels used weapons that disabled enemy ships without killing the crews, leaving them alive to witness humanity's overwhelming superiority. "Target their weapons and engines only," Ellen instructed her crews. "I want them to sit there helpless while they watch the rest of their fleet die." The psychological effect was devastating. Alien crews trapped in disabled ships sent desperate messages to their remaining vessels, describing weapons that seemed almost magical in their precision and power. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will, struck from impossible angles, and shrugged off alien weapons that should have destroyed them. Dr. Ashley Turner monitored the battle from her xenobiology research facility hidden in the asteroid belt. Her job was to study alien technology in real time, not to copy it, but to find new ways to defeat it. Every enemy weapon that fired, every alien ship that maneuvered, provided data that was immediately shared with the human fleet. "Admiral, this is Dr. Turner," she reported. "Enemy plasma weapons are operating at maximum efficiency, but our adaptive shields are absorbing 97% of their energy output. Their quantum disruptors are completely useless against our hull materials." "How useless, Doctor?" "They might as well be throwing rocks, Admiral. Our ships are specifically designed to counter their technology. Every system they're using has been studied, analyzed, and defeated." The truth was becoming clear to the surviving Zephyrians. The human fleet wasn't just technologically superior, it was specifically designed to counter Zephyrian weapons and tactics. This wasn't an accidental advantage. It was the result of decades of careful preparation and planning. Commander Julie Adams led the special operations team that would capture Admiral Kethvar himself. Her ship, the UES Silent Hunter, was designed for stealth insertion and precision strikes. It approached the alien flagship without being detected and attached to the hull like a parasite. Admiral Brooks, this is Commander Adams. We're attached to the enemy flagship and ready to board. Sensors show minimal resistance capability remaining. Proceed, Commander. We want their Admiral alive and cooperative. Julie's team cut through. The alien hull with tools that worked faster than Zephyrian damage control systems could respond. Within minutes, they were inside the flagship moving toward the bridge. The aliens they encountered were demoralized and terrified. Most surrendered without firing a shot. Admiral Kethvar stood on his bridge surrounded by the bodies of officers who had chosen to fight rather than surrender. His ship was crippled, his fleet was destroyed, and humans in impossible armor were, cutting through his security forces like they weren't there. Admiral Kethvar, Julie said as she entered the bridge with her team. Her voice was electronically modified by her suit's communication system, making her sound inhuman and terrifying. You will surrender your ship and your remaining fleet immediately. The alien admiral looked at the human soldiers and felt something he had never experienced before: complete helplessness. These weren't the primitive warriors he had expected. They were death incarnate, wrapped in technology that made them seem almost godlike in their power. "What are your terms?" Kethvar asked quietly. "Complete surrender. You will order all remaining ships to power down weapons and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that refuses will be destroyed. Any ship that tries to escape will be hunted down and eliminated. And if I comply, you and your crews will be treated according to the laws of war. You will be questioned, and then you will be released to carry a message back to your empire." Kethvar realized he had no choice. Of his original 800 ships, fewer than 50 remained capable of fighting. The humans had demonstrated that they could destroy his entire fleet whenever they chose. Resistance was not just futile, it was suicide. "All Zephyrian vessels, this is Admiral Kethvar," he broadcast to his remaining ships. "Cease all combat operations. Power down all weapon systems. Prepare for boarding by human forces. Any ship that disobeys this order is on its own." The response was immediate. Alien ships throughout the solar system shut down their weapons and waited for human boarding parties. The conquest fleet that had seemed invincible hours before was now completely at humanity's mercy. Dr. Claire Johnson watched from her monitoring station as the last alien ships surrendered. "Admiral Brooks, this is Johnson. All enemy vessels have ceased combat operations. Total casualties: 637 alien ships destroyed, 112 disabled and captured, 51 allowed to escape with minimal damage." Human casualties? The first alien plasma beam cut through space like a green sword of death. It struck the UES Valiant's shields and made them flicker and spark. Captain Steve Hughes felt his ship shake from the impact and smiled grimly. The hit was perfectly calculated to look like it had caused serious damage without actually harming his ship. "Return fire," Steve ordered. "Miss their main ship by 50 meters. Make it look like our targeting systems are damaged." The Valiant's old plasma cannons fired back. The shots went wide, just as planned. To alien eyes, it looked like the humans were already failing under pressure. Their weapons were inaccurate and their shields were weak. Admiral Kethvar watched the human response from his flagship and laughed. "Look at them. They can't even aim properly. This is pathetic. All ships, concentrate fire on their largest vessels. End this quickly. 800 alien warships opened fire at once. The space around Earth's small fleet lit up with deadly energy beams and plasma bolts. The human ships shook and sparked under the assault. Their shields failed one by one. Their weapons stopped firing. Within 10 minutes, half the human fleet appeared to be destroyed or disabled. Humans are weaker than we thought, Sub-Commander Vextal reported. Their resistance is crumbling. We should have complete victory within the hour. What the aliens didn't see were the thousands of hidden sensors recording every shot they fired. Human computers analyzed every weapon frequency, every shield modulation, every tactical movement. In secret bunkers across the solar system, artificial intelligence systems updated targeting solutions for the real human fleet. Captain Steve Hughes watched his tactical display as more alien ships moved into the inner system. They were spreading out now, confident of victory. Perfect. All surviving ships, begin retreat toward Earth. Make it look desperate. The remaining human ships turned and fled toward their home world. Their engines sputtered, and their hulls showed damage from the alien attack. The Zephyrians followed, eager to finish their easy conquest. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Andrew Walsh watched the alien fleet through quantum sensors. They're in perfect position, he told Dr. Maria Gonzalez. Spread out across the entire inner system, no tight formations, no defensive posture. They think they've already won. All hidden assets report ready, Maria confirmed. 3,412 ships, Mars defense grid online, Jupiter platforms charged, asteroid belt hunters armed and tracking targets. Andrew opened a communication channel to Admiral Brooks. Admiral, this is Sentinel Control. Package is ready for delivery. 5 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Helen Brooks stood before her command staff. The moment humanity had prepared for during 25 years was finally here. Around her, dozens of officers waited at their stations. Each person controlled part of the largest military force ever assembled by humans. All stations report ready, Admiral, said Captain Dan Murphy. Hidden fleets are in position. Defensive platforms are charged. Intelligence networks are providing real-time targeting data. Helen looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet scattered across the solar system. They had made every mistake she hoped they would. They were overconfident, spread out, and completely unaware of what was about to happen. All units. This is Admiral Brooks. She broadcast on the most secure channel ever created. Execute Operation Sunrise. I repeat, execute Operation Sunrise. Show them what humanity is capable of. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Throughout the solar system, space itself seemed to come alive. Captain Peter Clark felt his heart race as the Thunder Bay's stealth systems deactivated. His massive battleship suddenly appeared on every sensor in the system. Around him, 49 more ships materialized out of nothing. The alien fleet, which had been chasing a handful of weak human vessels, suddenly found itself surrounded by an enemy they never saw coming. All weapons, fire at will, Peter ordered. Target their flagships first. The Thunder Bay's main guns spoke with the voice of nuclear fusion. Beams of pure energy struck the nearest alien cruiser and cut through its shields like they weren't there. The alien ship exploded in seconds, vaporized by weapons that were centuries ahead of anything the Zephyrians had ever faced. Near Venus, Captain Nancy Wilson's battle group decloaked and opened fire. 50 human warships appeared where empty space had been moments before. Their weapons were already locked onto alien targets. The first volley destroyed 30 enemy ships before the aliens even knew they were under attack. "Beautiful shots," Nancy reported to her gun crews. "Keep firing. Don't give them time to recover." In the asteroid belt, Captain Julie Foster commanded, the most devastating surprise of all. 300 ships that had been disguised as rocks and debris suddenly came to life. They were perfectly positioned among the alien fleet, so close that some human ships were within a mile of enemy vessels. "Point-blank range, people," Julie announced. "Make every shot count." The slaughter was immediate and complete. Human ships appeared everywhere at once, firing weapons that the aliens couldn't defend against. Zephyrian vessels that had seemed invincible moments before were being torn apart by technology they didn't understand. On Mars, Professor Kevin Price activated the Red Planet's defense grid. The surface of Mars erupted with energy as hundreds of massive cannons emerged from hidden bunkers. Each weapon was larger than most spacecraft and carried enough power to destroy multiple ships with a single shot. "Mars defense grid is online," Kevin reported. "Targeting enemy capital ships, firing now." Beams of coherent energy reached across space and struck the largest alien vessels. Ships that were 3 miles long and supposedly indestructible simply vanished in flashes of light. The remaining alien fleet watched in horror as their most powerful warships were destroyed in seconds. Admiral Kethvar stood frozen on his bridge as his conquest fleet died around him. Hundreds of his ships were already destroyed or disabled. Human vessels appeared everywhere, firing weapons that cut through Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "They were primitives. They had weak ships and basic weapons." Sub-Commander Vextal worked frantically at her station, trying to understand what was happening. "Admiral, these aren't the same ships we were fighting. These are completely different vessels with technology I've never seen before. Where did they come from?" "I don't know, sir. They just appeared out of nothing. Our sensors never detected them." Captain Nathan Riley led the Jupiter Defense Wing into battle with the fury of humanity unleashed. 2,000 ships that had been hidden in the giant planet's shadow swept toward the alien fleet like an unstoppable tide. Each human vessel was equipped with weapons designed specifically to counter Zephyrian technology. "Jupiter Wing, engage all targets," Nathan ordered. "Time to show these aliens what happens when you threaten Earth." The human fleet moved with impossible coordination. Every ship knew exactly where every other ship was located. Their artificial intelligence systems shared targeting data in real time. When one human ship identified an enemy weakness, every ship in the fleet knew about it instantly. The aliens tried to fight back, but their weapons seemed almost useless. Human ships absorbed plasma beams that should have destroyed them. Energy bolts that could level mountains bounced off human armor like raindrops. The technology gap that the Zephyrians had counted on was suddenly reversed. Commander Lisa Rodriguez commanded the UES Hammer of Sol, one of the most advanced ships in the human fleet. Her vessel was designed for one purpose only: to demonstrate human superiority without completely destroying the enemy. As alien ships tried desperately to escape, Lisa's crew used precision weapons to disable them instead of destroying them. "Target their engines, not their life support," Lisa ordered. "We want survivors to carry the message back to their empire." "Why are we being merciful, Commander?" asked her tactical officer. "Because we want the galaxy to know what happened here. Dead aliens can't tell anyone that humanity is not to be trifled with." Throughout the solar system, the pattern repeated. Human ships appeared from nowhere and destroyed alien vessels with contemptuous ease. The Zephyrian Empire's most powerful fleet was being systematically dismantled by an enemy they had thought was primitive and weak. Dr. Claire Johnson watched the battle from her monitoring station on Titan. The intelligence data she had gathered over decades was proving its worth. Every alien weapon frequency, every shield configuration, every tactical doctrine had been studied and countered. The humans weren't just winning, they were demonstrating complete technological superiority. "Admiral Brooks, this is Titan Station," Claire reported. "Enemy fleet is in full retreat. Casualty estimates show 70% of alien vessels destroyed or disabled. Our losses are negligible." The voice that came back was filled with cold satisfaction. "Understood, Titan Station. Let some of them escape. We want them to report what they saw here today." Admiral Kethavar realized his fleet was doomed. Of 800 ships, fewer than 200 remained capable of fighting. The humans had appeared everywhere at once with technology that made Zephyrian weapons look like toys. His conquest fleet was being destroyed by an enemy that had been hiding in plain sight. Captain Steve Hughes stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant and tried to look worried. It wasn't easy because he knew something the aliens didn't. His ship was old and weak by design. The Valiant was 40 years old and carried weapons that hadn't been upgraded in decades. Her armor was thin and her shields were basic. To alien sensors, she looked exactly like what Earth wanted them to see: a primitive warship from a backward species. Steve was 38 years old with black hair and green eyes. He had volunteered for this mission knowing it might be his last. Around him, his crew of 200 men and women prepared for what looked like certain death. They checked their weapons and said goodbye to their families through secure video links. None of them showed fear, because they all knew the truth. "Captain, alien fleet is entering the outer system," reported his sensor officer, Lieutenant Paul Martinez. "They're maintaining formation and approaching at standard conquest speed." "How long until they reach weapons range?" 6 hours, sir." Steve nodded and activated his communication system. "All ships, this is Captain Hughes. Remember, we are the bait. Our job is to look weak and scared. Let them think they're winning until the real fleet arrives. Make your shots look desperate. Miss most of your targets. Act like you're outgunned and dying." Throughout the solar system, 19 other old Earth ships received the same message. Each captain understood their role in the plan. They would fight and die if necessary to maintain the illusion that Earth was defenseless. Hidden on the dark side of the moon, Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster watched the alien fleet through sensors that couldn't be detected. She commanded Luna Defense Station, a facility that officially didn't exist. Amy was 32 years old with red hair and sharp blue eyes. She had been a fighter pilot before taking this assignment. Now she controlled weapons that could destroy small moons. "All defensive platforms report ready," said her second-in-command, Major Chris Thompson. The man was built like a mountain and had a voice that could shake walls. "Jupiter platforms are online. Mars platforms are online. Asteroid, belt hunters are armed and waiting." Amy smiled. The aliens thought they were entering an empty system with one inhabited world. They had no idea that every planet, every moon, and every large asteroid had been turned into a weapons platform. Humanity had spent 25 years preparing for this day. "Keep all systems on passive sensors only. We don't want them to know we're here until it's too late." In the deepest part of space, far from any planet, Captain Peter Clark commanded the UES Thunder Bay. His ship was 2 miles long and carried enough firepower to level continents. The Thunder Bay was invisible to alien sensors, hidden by technology that bent light and energy around the ship. Peter was 45 years old and had been fighting in secret for most of his career. "Captain, we have visual on the alien fleet," reported his tactical officer, Commander Lisa Davis. "They're beautiful ships, sir. Elegant design. Too bad we're going to have to destroy them." Peter looked at the tactical display showing 800 alien warships approaching Earth. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering and death. In any fair fight, they would crush humanity's visible fleet in minutes. But this wouldn't be a fair fight. "All stealth ships report status," Peter ordered. The responses came from across the solar system. Hidden near Venus, Captain Nancy Wilson commanded a battle group of 50 ships. Behind Jupiter, Captain Tony Reed led 200 vessels. In the asteroid belt, Captain Julie Foster had 300 ships disguised as rocks and debris. Scattered throughout empty space, dozens more. Captains reported ready. 3,412 ships ready for combat, sir," Lisa reported. "All systems green. All crews ready." "Outstanding. Remember, nobody fires until Admiral Brooks gives the order. We wait for them to attack first." On Mars, Professor Kevin Price made final adjustments to the planet's defense grid. The red planet looked dead and empty to alien scans, but under its surface lay the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. Kevin was 60 years old and had spent his entire career designing bigger and better ways to destroy alien technology. "Power levels are stable," reported his assistant, Dr. Sarah Williams. She was young and brilliant, fresh out of college, but already one of the best weapons designers on Mars. "All cannon systems are ready. Targeting computers are locked onto the alien fleet." "How many ships can we destroy with the first volley?" Kevin asked. "Conservative estimate? 200 ships. If we get lucky, maybe 300. Kevin nodded. Mars had enough firepower to match a small fleet, and the aliens had no idea it was there. "Wait for the signal. When Admiral Brooks gives the word, we show them what real weapons look like." Back on Earth, Admiral Helen Brooks stood in the command center, buried 5 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean. The facility was so secret that most world leaders didn't know it existed. Helen was surrounded by the best military minds humanity could produce. Each person in the room controlled part of the largest fleet ever assembled. "Status report," Helen ordered. "All hidden fleets report ready," said her chief of staff, Captain Dan Murphy. "Alien fleet has entered the system and is approaching Earth. They should reach our decoy fleet in 4 hours. "Any signs they suspect our real strength?" "None, Admiral. They're scanning our visible ships and laughing at how weak we look. Their communications are full of jokes about how easy this conquest will be." Helen smiled coldly. The Zephyrians had conquered 17 worlds by being stronger than everyone else. Today they would learn that being stronger wasn't always enough. Sometimes being smarter mattered more. "Dr. Johnson. Status on our intelligence network?" Dr. Claire. Johnson was the head of alien technology research. She was 43 years old and knew more about Zephyrian weapons than most Zephyrians did. "We've been intercepting their communications for the past 6 months, Admiral. We know every weapon they carry, every shield frequency they use, and every tactical doctrine in their playbook. Our ships are specifically designed to counter their technology." "And they know nothing about us?" "They think we're using technology that's 1,000 years behind theirs. They have no idea we've been studying their crashed ships and intercepted transmissions for decades." On the approaching alien fleet, Admiral Kethvar was indeed laughing. His officers had finished scanning the human ships, and the results were even better than expected. The human vessels were old, weak, and poorly armed. This would be the easiest conquest in Zephyrian history. "Sub-Commander Vextall, send the surrender demand," Kethvar ordered. "Give them the standard terms. Complete submission or total destruction." "Yes." "Admiral, message sent." The message reached Earth's leaders within minutes. President Lisa Carter read it with her advisors. The alien terms were simple and brutal. Humanity would surrender all weapons, accept alien occupation, and provide workers for alien mining operations. Any resistance would result in the death of entire cities. "Our response, Madam President?" asked Defense Secretary Torres. Lisa looked around the room at her advisors. Each face showed the same expression of quiet determination. "Tell them we decline their generous offer." "Are you sure, ma'am? They're offering to let most of our people live." "Ryan, we've been preparing for this moment for 25 years. Our children and grandchildren will never live as slaves. Send our response." The human reply was short and direct. Earth would not surrender. Earth would fight, and Earth was ready for whatever the aliens brought. When Admiral Kethvar received the human response, he wasn't surprised. Most species chose to fight first and surrender later. It didn't matter. His fleet would destroy the human ships quickly, then bomb a few cities. After seeing Zephyrian power, the survivors would beg for mercy. "All ships prepare for battle," Kethvar broadcast to his fleet. "Standard conquest formation. Destroy their military vessels first, then begin orbital bombardment of their major population centers. This should be finished within the hour." 800 alien warships moved into attack formation. Each ship powered up weapons that could melt steel from 1,000 miles away. Each ship raised shields that had never been penetrated by enemy fire. Each ship prepared to add another easy victory to Zephyrian history. Hidden throughout the solar system, 3,000 human ships watched and waited. Every weapon was charged. Every shield was ready. Every crew member knew that the next few hours would determine whether humanity lived free or died fighting. The trap was perfect. The aliens were exactly where humanity wanted them. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humans were very good at building traps. 6 months after humanity's introduction to the Galactic Council, the political landscape of the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the newly constructed Terra Station, humanity's first permanent embassy in Council space, watching as the most significant treaty signing in galactic history took place. The Treaty of Mutual Defense and Cooperation represented everything the Council had hoped for and everything they had feared about. Humanity's arrival. In exchange for full membership and access to galactic technology, humanity had agreed to serve as the Council's military protector and enforcement arm. Ambassador Kethvar floated nearby in his environmental suit, his blue-scaled features visible through the transparent faceplate. The Altarian had become humanity's closest ally among the Council species, largely because he had been the first to recognize that fear and friendship could coexist. "Your people have adapted to galactic politics remarkably quickly," Kethvar observed as they watched the ceremony below. Jake nodded. "We're good at adapting. It's how we survived long enough to build ships like the Leviathan." Through the massive viewing ports, they could see the human fleet maintaining its position around Zephyria. 12 Titan-class ships arranged in a formation that managed to be both protective and intimidating. The message was clear. The Council was under humanity's protection now, whether anyone threatened it or not. The treaty signing itself had been a complex affair involving representatives from 43 different species. Each had their own requirements for how agreements should be formalized, from the crystalline hierarchy's harmonic resonance ceremonies to the machine collective's quantum encryption protocols. Cultural attaché. Helen Burke had spent weeks coordinating the various diplomatic requirements. She approached Jake and Kethavar with a satisfied expression that suggested everything had gone according to plan. "The final signatures have been recorded," she announced. "Humanity is now officially a member of the Galactic Council with full voting rights and treaty obligations." "How long before someone tests our commitment to those obligations?" Jake asked. "Sooner than you might think," Kethavar replied grimly. "The hegemony remnants have been growing bolder in the Outer Rim. They've been raiding independent systems and ignoring Council warnings for months." Jake had read the briefings on the hegemony remnants. They were the surviving fragments of the Empire that had been defeated in the Galactic War 1,000 years ago. For centuries, they had been contained to a few dozen systems in the galaxy's outer spiral arm, more of a nuisance than a real threat. "They've been testing Council resolve," Helen added. 3 weeks ago, they attacked a mining colony in Sector 7. The local defense fleet drove them off, but barely. What's the Council's normal response to this kind of aggression? Kethavar's features showed the equivalent of a bitter smile. "Diplomatic protests and economic sanctions. The remnants have learned to ignore both." "They're about to learn that the rules have changed," Jake said quietly.